Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Sunday, December 22nd. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, our second to last show before Christmas. The last one for Alex, of course, though. He'll be back with us next Saturday after today. We got 6 games on tap on this Sunday slate. We'll get into those in just a moment. We recap first a very massive Saturday, obviously, in the NHL. It started with a overtime win for the Nashville Predators as they bounced back from a tough loss against Pittsburgh the other day, and they beat LA in overtime 3-2. It's been a win-loss last 6 games for the Predators, but they do find a way and get past the Kings 3-2 in that game. It was a solid effort all around by the Nashville Predators. And how about Justus Onanen getting the start yesterday as well for the Nashville Predators, leading them to that 3-2 victory. Of course, a guy they acquired from Colorado earlier this year in the Wedgwood deal. And he gets the victory for the Predators in between the pipes, and they get a 3-2 win against the Kings. Calgary runs over, unfortunately, Chicago 6-4 yesterday. We were worried maybe about Mrazek, a little rusty, not sharp coming back from the injury. They didn't do a great job helping him out. It was a good game from a lot of the from Bedard. I thought played a really solid game. 3 points, 1 goal, 2 assists. Got a little chippy at the end too in the third period. Couple of fracases broke out, but credit to Calgary, 6-4 win there against Chicago as they snap Chicago's mini little win streak that they had going on. San Jose and Edmonton, a little glimpse into the future we got in this game, courtesy of Yaroslav Askarov. The future in net for San Jose, and the future might be now. He might be ready for the NHL if yesterday is any indication. Utterly brilliant performance from him. Over 40 shots faced. It was really the only reason San Jose got a point out of that game against the Oilers. In fact, they were 20 seconds away from winning the game thanks to the heroics of their young goalie until the Oilers finally tied it late in the third period. And then, of course, they won it in overtime 3-2. But the only reason it got to OT was because of Askarov. And I've already seen enough. Like, what he gave you yesterday was better than anything Alexander Georgiev has given at any point this year. So if you're San Jose and you're Ryan Warsofsky, I think we're getting to the point where we need to see a little more Yaroslav Askarov. That is unless you want to tank, unless you just want to bottom out this year, unless you just want to absolutely stink and, get a better draft position in the lottery. But I saw a lot of reasons to be excited about what you might have in him. And look, he's had some ups and downs, and obviously it's still a little puzzling that he was traded away by this Nashville team. But like I say, San Jose was desperate to find some goaltending of the future, and certainly we saw a little glimpse of it from Askarov, who was great. Now, he's got to show he can do it more than just once, obviously, at the NHL level, but he certainly was great yesterday, and the reason San Jose got even a point out of that game, despite losing in overtime 3-2 to Edmonton. It turned into a shootout in Philly in the third period. It was 1-1 going into the third. I thought my over was doomed, and then the third period happened, and it ended up 4-4. It went to overtime, and the Flyers got a 5-4 win over the Blue Jackets. And that's exactly what I was talking about with Merzlikins. He gives you that just dynamite performance against New Jersey, 40 saves, the reason the Jackets won, and he gives up 5 goals yesterday in the loss. So it's just the same old, it's just not able to just stack wins together, able to stack great performances together. And the Flyers get the win. Still, the Flyers look a little bit shaky on the back end, and still it wasn't a great game either from Ersson, who's, again, still trying to find his best form, which he's still looking for, in my opinion. But the offense came to his rescue, and the Flyers get a nice 5-4 win. Owen Tippett, by the way, outstanding game from him. 4 points, including the overtime winner. OT and OT was the call by Jim Jackson of the Flyers. I thought that was a great call there, OT and OT, with Owen Tippett scoring the overtime game winner for the Philadelphia Flyers in that one. What else did we see yesterday in the NHL? It's a huge card, obviously. Pittsburgh, New Jersey. This was frustrating. Devils team total over was my best bet. They get to 3. They do not get to 4. You know, I'm going to have to do with the Devils too, because I think there's one other time I remember off a loss. They won like 3-1, 3-0. The team total lost, but you would have won if you took the puck line. I might do that. Split it between the puck line and the team total next time I like New Jersey off a loss. But they do get the 3-0 win against Pittsburgh. It was a good point brought up by Melissa Cunningham, by the way, one of our favorites, saying that they played basketball in that arena early in the day. And she said there's been a lot of unders in games where they've had to play hockey, turn around just hours later on the same day. And I told her, I know why that is. Puck bounces a lot. It's harder to make crisp, clean plays when you have to transition from a basketball court to a ice surface that quickly. Because I know they played some basketball at college game earlier in the day. And you could tell, that ice wasn't the best from what I saw. The parts of the game I did see there with that Penguins-Devils game. Something definitely, it's a great point, and it's definitely something to keep an eye on.
And that's something we'll have to look at throughout the second half of the season, right? Because you always have in February and March, these arenas will also be hosting college basketball tournaments. So there'll be weekends, like you said, where there might be a turnaround as the team gets ready to leave out of town, and then they're on the road, or you'll have just different spots and different things where those can come up, and it's not as consistent as what used to be. You don't have too many, even though you have NBA arenas. The NHL arena shared, there's usually enough of a gap where that won't be an issue, or they're just play on separate days. So that's a good note to point out, and that's something to remember when you're looking at some Pittsburgh games, maybe at home on Saturdays moving forward.
Yeah, no question. That was a great observation there by Melissa mentioning that. Winnipeg with the shutout over the Minnesota Wild 5-0. The whole team was just not really that good. I mean, you can't pin it all on Wallstead. Was it a tough night for him? Sure, but he didn't have a lot of help to me in that game, and Winnipeg was just ready to go, and they put it to Minnesota 5-0. And that power play for the Jets rolling. Nikolai Ehlers with a power play goal last night for them. Pionk adds one as well. Ehlers, I continue to say, this guy is criminally not talked about enough, honestly, in the NHL. I think it's because he plays on Winnipeg, and Winnipeg's got guys like Connor and Scheifele already. He kind of takes a back seat. He shouldn't. He's a terrific player that doesn't get the adulation he deserves, in my opinion. And Winnipeg with a nice 5-0 victory there. Just look at how Winnipeg played without Ehlers. They just weren't quite that same team compared to the torrid start they had.
And just to mention with the Wild, I talked about it quite a bit yesterday about Wallstead and the situation of what they were planning to do at the beginning of the year, and how it seemed like maybe with the Wild winning all of a sudden and being at the top of the league, now that things have changed. I don't want to put what happened yesterday all on Jesper Wallstead. He did give up a couple of bad goals, but that was just kind of a whole team effort that just wasn't up to par. Like I said, we're starting to see this Wild team now go through their first real slump of the season. But I really hope that this doesn't diminish what we've seen so far from Jesper Wallstead. And I hope more so from the Wild fan base. I hope they don't get discouraged by seeing a game like that and thinking, oh, well, this guy might be overrated. No, he's just fine. That was just a bad overall game by the Wild and Wallstead. So hopefully that won't be taken with a grain of salt when this guy gets more starts. He definitely is a better goalie than what we saw yesterday. But like I said, every goalie in this league is going to have a bad start or two in a year.
Absolutely. There's no doubt, especially a young goalie like that. I mean, there's not much more you can say about Buffalo. They actually played a hard effort, and they took advantage of a Boston team that was, off the road trip. And 20-19, they actually outshot the Bruins. They held the Bruins to 19 shots. They played a really solid team game, Buffalo. And sure enough, they have their hearts ripped out again. They give up the goal with minute 45 left to Morgan Geekie on the power play. Brad Marchand puts it away into the empty net, 3-1, and now the 13th straight loss for the Buffalo Sabres. And they deserved a better fate yesterday. They played well enough. It was just one mistake at the wrong time, and it's in the back of the net. And that's the way it goes for a team when they're losing 13 in a row like that. And Alex B. Smith gets us a bargain bin special, the night winner as well, with Charlie Coyle getting the first goal of the game for the Boston Bruins around plus 400. So a great winner there, Alex, with Mr. Coyle.
Yeah, well, and that one, well, so here's the thing. It was listed as a bargain bin. I didn't mention that on the show as the bargain bin.
That's true. You're right.
The one that I mentioned on the show, the bargain bin, did catch some with Bobby McMahon. So if you listen to the show and saw Patreon, you end up getting two of three bargain bins from me, and two of them hit. So we'll take that every time.
Yeah, Bobby McMahon got Alex a bargain bin winner as well for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and that was probably the highlight for them because the game itself was not, and you could tell right away. And credit to the Islanders, they were rested. They were off a shutout loss to Carolina. They just jumped on the Leafs. The Leafs had nothing early in that game. They were stuck in mud. They were losing their coverage. It was just so easy for the Islanders to get to the net and generate offense. And it was just a clunker. It was a Christmas clunker, if you will, for the Toronto Maple Leafs last night. 6-3 loss to the New York Islanders. And even when they got it to 3-2, it just didn't feel like it was going to be a night for them where they were going to come back and win. And sure enough, like I said, we see them lose 6-3 last night. It is concerning that even in the Buffalo game, they kind of let the Sabres back in it. They beat Dallas, but Dallas kind of took it to them. So again, there's still room for improvement for the Leafs. They're obviously they said on the broadcast, and it's 100% true, they're a much better defensive team this year. But even with that said, there's still room for improvement with the Leafs. There's no question. Montreal puts the boots to Detroit 5-1. Pretty ugly back-to-back for the Red Wings against the Canadiens. We get a disappointing push with Detroit-Montreal over 6. But we did hit the first period over there in that game. Montembeault obviously was in, and that tells you all you need to know. They don't have confidence in Caden Primo, and Montembeault rewards them with a pretty solid effort. Another game where we see the Lionel Hudson power play combination come through. Those props have just been cashing like crazy of late, and Montreal gets a 5-1 win there. And then the two late games, Ottawa, no Allmark, no problem, as they beat the Vancouver Canucks in overtime, 5-4 last night. It was a back-and-forth game between those two teams. And I will say this, it was a solid effort, even though he gave up 4 from Levi Marilainen, the Finnish netminder who got the call. And it was him, not Forsberg, because Forsberg's out on the injured list. So Marilainen got the call. They saved Allmark for the game against Edmonton tonight, but no Allmark, and the win streak continues still, though, for the Senators as they get the 5 spot. Rumblings of a disconnect between Pettersson and Miller now in Vancouver. So still some turmoil there, but the Senators just keep on rolling, finding ways to win. There's been one hell of a run for Ottawa, 6 straight wins, and now 8-1 in their last 9 games. And they'll look to notch another road win tonight in Edmonton. We'll get to that in a moment. Boy, Seattle, that was tough on them last night. 6-2. Rough night for Grubauer, rough night for the defense. Again, not enough offense, only scored 2 goals again in that game. And it's not going to get any easier for this Kraken team after losing the last 2 of the homestand, losing in Chicago, losing, of course, to Vegas last night. And, on a back-to-back in thin air and high altitude, you got to play Colorado now tonight on a back-to-back. Have fun with that. So not going to get any easier for the struggling Seattle Kraken. Alex, anything more to add from Saturday?
Yeah, we can start with that Hawks game where they just, like you said, looked sharp early, but then fell apart in the second period. And like you said, that was the rust of Peter Mrazek. And it's going to take him maybe a game or 2, like I said, to get back into the groove of things. Like I said, we're more than likely going to see Soderblom get the bulk of the starts here heading into, and now it'd be interesting to see who gets the start next week for the Winter Classic, because obviously you would believe that would be Mrazek. You want your number 1 guy going in a marquee game like that, but that's not necessarily how it might line up, especially with a lot of games and games against division opponents moving up for the Hawks. But like I said, these guys don't quit, and I say it on Twitter. Anders boys don't quit, because they were dead in the water in the second, but they came back. Tyler Bertuzzi with a pair of goals, like you mentioned. Connor Bedard with another multi-point game, getting 3 points. This team is still right there on that cusp of always being competitive in contests. And that makes for a lot of good live wagering spots. If you're looking for next to score a goal, the Hawks, they aren't quitting it when they're getting blown out in the second and third period. So there's still value and opportunity to make money with the Hawks, even if they aren't winning games on the money line or cashing full game overs. They did go well over the total yesterday, but like I said, this is just something to keep an eye on with the Hawks. And like I said, I mentioned this with the Wild. Like I said, that was a complete just team loss, not necessarily something that's directed on Wallstead. That was a big thing. But like I said, a good win for Winnipeg as well, right? Because you want to beat those teams that are going to be nipping at your heels in the division race. And we talk about that now, where we're seeing a lot of these division battles, and they, like I said, they get kind of chippy. Even going back with Chicago to Calgary, it's not a division game, but you're seeing that chippiness factor in a lot of games. Even going back to last week, I kind of talked about this, where teams are starting to feel that pressure of where they are in the standings and who they're playing. And like I said, now the time where we kind of maybe can find teams that are looking ahead to an opponent and maybe have a flat spot. And there's something to note with Philly and San Jose. These are teams that are rough to bet on pregame, but in-game, these are fantastic teams to look at when you talk about next to score goals, live looks at going into overtime. When you look at the records of these two teams, especially with Philly, was it 7 wins now that they have once they get into overtime? That's something you should be looking at now. If you see a Philly game go to OT, just grab Flyers. If it's anything, we're always talking about nothing higher than -20 when you're looking at a game going into overtime. So with the firepower they have, they obviously are a dangerous team in 3-on-3. So that's the thing we're starting to the information we're starting to get now in this December month, at least for me, looking at things that I can use later in this year to build, especially upon live wagering, especially when we start doing more betcasts. These little tidbits cash in the months of February and March and April.
Yeah, no doubt. Jonathan, I did forget about them. On the show, I forgot about them. But when I started finalizing the card, and before I, send it out to the subscribers, posted it on Patreon, I just realized, holy shit, I didn't mention the Islanders Leafs being a system play on the show with the Islanders off the shutout loss to Carolina. But I did realize it after the show, after the fact, and I bet it still. And obviously we had the 2-0 with the first period over, full game over in that game. But yes, I forgot totally. It's just a fucking brain fart. It happens at this time of year. Lots on the mind when Christmas is approaching. But yep, it was a system play. Islanders Leafs with the Islanders off a shutout loss. So it is what it is. On we go to Sunday. We've got Carolina and the New York Rangers. Let's get right into this one because this one's starting in about 15 minutes from now at Madison Square Garden. One of these early 15 or 12:30 Eastern start times. We got the Rangers, Carolina rather, -150 road favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. We can be brief with my analysis because I don't really have much. I'm maybe dabbling a 5.5 now that it's dropped. It's dropped from 6 to 5.5. And the previous meeting earlier this year in Carolina with these two teams was 4-3. We did see 7 goals. I do think there's a little value over, maybe a sloppy start type of early game, but I don't love it. We have Kochetkov and Shesterkin, Russian battle in between the pipes here in this game. As far as a side, nothing at all. I need to see more from the Rangers. I give them credit for beating Dallas on Friday. Certainly was a nice win, especially against a good team, but let's see them do it again. Another thing with the Rangers is during this bad run they've had, they haven't been able to sustain success. They haven't won 2 in a row in a very long time, and I'm not prepared or confident yet to bet on them to win 2 in a row here. That being said, -150 on the road for Carolina, and they've lost 5 straight games on the road. So I'm not really that interested in laying this price with the Hurricanes today. So not much. Maybe I sprinkle just a couple bucks on the over to get the day started, but nothing more than that. Alex, what do you think here? Hurricanes, Rangers.
Yeah, I took a small shot of the draw. I got plus 330, the highest price. Guess what book has that? Bet Online. So we're finding all kind of variants. Definitely shop around when you're looking at draws or anything 3-way line right now. But that's the one thing I took a shot at. Like I said, not crazy about this game. If this was a night game, if this was a weekday game, I'd maybe be looking at that over. But like I said, early Sunday start. Somebody mentioned this is the last game, a home game for the Rangers before the holiday. So it could be a slot fest, or it could be kind of a slow, sluggish start, and then things get kind of rolling after the first 20 minutes. So just taking a shot with the draw.
And normally I don't like betting against Carolina off a loss. And obviously we cashed the best bet winner with Washington on Friday night as a nice home underdog against this Carolina team. So like I said, not a whole lot. I don't mind the Trocheck looks from some people in the chat, of course, against one of his former teams. So maybe he gets on the board. All right, Florida, Tampa Bay. Florida -120 road favorite, 6 the total here in this one. It's usually always an intriguing matchup, an anticipated matchup when it's these two rivals going at it. And really this division with the Atlantic Division, I was going to say it's really down to Toronto, Florida, and Tampa, those 4 teams in the mix for it. But Boston's kind of pushed their way back into the division race. All this talk about how Boston's fallen apart and all that, and they're still right there, 40 points now, the Boston Bruins. So it really is a 4-team race now in the division. Can't even rule out Ottawa getting back into the, believe it or not, the Atlantic Division race. I mean, they're at 36, and there's very few teams playing better hockey than they are right now. So this looked like for the first 2 months, 3 months of the season, it was looking like it was going to be Toronto and the Florida teams battling for first in the Atlantic Division. But now Boston's peeking their head into the race. You don't rule out Ottawa right now. So, like I said, that division might be up for grabs for more than just those 3 teams. But these 2 teams, Panthers and Lightning, are certainly right there in the mix. Florida's really made Amalie Arena kind of their home base. They've really played well here. And you go back through the playoffs, they won, 2 of the 3 series playoff games here in Tampa last year. In the regular season, in last couple of years ago, I should say, February 2023, Florida won 4-1 in Tampa. They won 3-2 in Tampa last year in December, right around Christmas time. And then last February, a 9-2 beatdown for the Panthers over the Lightning. So they have really started to own things here against the Tampa Bay Lightning. I did sprinkle on Florida -120 here. It's just they've really played well in Tampa, going back a couple years ago. Yeah, like I said, they've kind of owned this building now, the Panthers. And I like the way they actually somehow beat St. Louis in a brutal spot, and again, they've since that kind of wake-up call, getting shut out in those 2 back-to-back road games by Vancouver and Calgary. Boy, they've definitely woke up since then. Florida played really well against Edmonton and Minnesota at the end of that road trip, come back home in a brutal spot and still find a way to beat St. Louis. This is one of those deals where it's probably, I would say Florida wins tonight. Tampa may get them back tomorrow on the back-to-back. We'll see. But certainly I would rather have Florida now, because I don't want to not bet Florida now. And if they win today, I probably wouldn't take them, in Florida. Will they be laying a bigger price? I like the way they've played in this building lately. They have owned the Lightning here at Amalie Arena in recent meetings. So I do like Florida here, -120. And over by Fecta. Now that this total's dropped down to 6, Florida's been an over machine on the road in the first period. This has actually been an over series history, playoffs and regular season. A lot of games have gotten to a minimum of 6 goals, between these 2 teams. Even though we know we've got capability in net from Bobrovsky and Vasilevsky, we've still seen more goals with these 2 teams. Now, this is a front end of a back-to-back and a home-and-home. We don't know for sure if it's going to be Bob and Vasi in the first game, but the projections are that we will see the number 1 netminders for both of these teams here tonight in the first game of the back-to-back. Alex, what do you think here? Panthers, Lightning.
So I'm going to do the same thing I did here, like I did yesterday with Ottawa. I'm taking Florida on the money line. I laid 117 at Circa, but I'm also going with the MGM, going Florida and over 5. And actually, let's do over 4.5 plus 125 as well. So that's kind of how I'm going to stack up with it. So like the money line, but I'm also going to add that 4.5. And I might start looking at this a little bit more with some spots here. Like I said, we like these overs, but we've been getting burned with 5.5s, right? How many 3-2 decisions have we seen in the last 2 weeks? Now you get 4.5 if you like a side and you like an over. Just take those and you're getting plus money rather than laying 120. You're looking at +1 or -120. You're looking at +125. So that's something I'm going to be utilizing a little bit more in certain spots. But this is a good spot for it when you have a short dog, a short favorite, and you like an over 5.5 or 6. Just knock it down to 4.5 and combine those together. So.
Yeah, no doubt. That's definitely a good idea of approaching it. All right, Kings and Capitals. We've got Washington -155, home favorites, 5.5 the total. I'm on Washington in regulation and split with Washington -1 on the puck line. It's just a little too pricey at -155 to take the money line, but this is a brutal spot for LA. This is a very, very long road trip coming to an end for them right before Christmas. You think they're excited to get back home to LA for Christmas? I would think so. For this LA Kings team. It's been a very long-ass road trip. Get back, and it's already been a successful one as well. They played pretty well for the most part on this road trip. Even the 2 losses, Pittsburgh, they got a point out of it, lost in overtime. Yesterday against Nashville, they got a point out of it, lost in overtime. So to me, like I said, this is pretty brutal here for the LA Kings here. Tough back-to-back. They were in Nashville yesterday. Washington's on a rest advantage because they played Friday night with no travel, too, because it was a home game Friday night against Carolina for them. So I like this 7 games in 14 days, Rich H says. Isn't that awful? That's brutal. And now you go home. Christmas is coming. I think it's a really good spot for Washington to win. And like I said, I don't expect this to need overtime. I think Washington can get it done within 60 minutes. So Washington -1 puck line, which is around even money. We'll split it with that, and Washington in regulation, which you can get also around even money, +100, +105 in this one. I think it's a good spot. It's a good spot to fade LA. And it's already been a great road trip, even if you lose this game. A good one, a winning road trip, a positive road trip. I think they're just excited to get back to the California sunshine and, more importantly, Christmas with the fam. What do you think here, Alex? Kings and Capitals.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you on that regulation. Like I can get plus 105 at FanDuel up to minus 105. I've seen it bet online, so chop around for that. But like you said, obviously, I know it's a little bit of security there with that minus one. If the game does go OT, they win the game. You push on the one. So that I obviously would advise that as well. But I have a player prop that I'm looking for. I'll be talking about a little bit later in this game.
Yeah, I wonder if the chat's onto it already with some of the references I'm seeing in the yeah, you down with
I think they
PLD?
are.
Yeah, you know me.
Yeah.
You down with PLD? Yeah, you know me. I think for one day I might be. Actually, it makes all the sense in the world. Like Pierre-Luc Dubois gets up for games against teams that kicked him to the curb. He did it when he was in LA with LA against Winnipeg, and he's done that. It would not shock me at all if he does that here for Washington tonight against LA. So, like I said, that would not shock me in the slightest to see Pierre-Luc Dubois. That's what he does. It seems like to light a fire under this guy, you got to get him playing one of his former teams. Then he shows up. Then he plays his best. Yeah.
Need to trade him around the league. He needs to do an old Octavio Dotel to make an MLB reference, and then maybe he'll be, the player that we all thought he'd be when he first joined the league years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no doubt. Yeah, that might be. Yeah, exactly. You got to trick him into thinking every day you're playing against one of your old teams. Then he'll put up an 88, 80, 90 point season. And he'll be in the running for the Hart Trophy. Maybe
Anthony Duclair could do that. He'd be a 100-point player already.
But Riddick should be in net. It looks like, and I would think it's going to be Logan Thompson here for Washington. Lindgren was great against Carolina, and that windmill save that he made with the glove was one of the best ones you'll see. But I think with what Spencer Carberry's pattern has been is alternating the goalies. So it probably will be Logan Thompson here tonight. All right, Anaheim, Utah. Utah minus 225 home favorite, 6 the total here in this game. A nice win on the road for Utah Friday night against Minnesota. They got the job done there against the Minnesota Wild. We'll see if they can follow that up here against the Anaheim Ducks now back home. Anaheim off a 4-2 loss to the Colorado Avalanche the other night. They'll be looking to bounce back from that. It was a 5-4 overtime win in Anaheim with these two teams earlier this season. Ducks got the better of the Utah Hockey Club in this game. We'll see how this one goes. It's just one of these games here where Utah is the better team, but I just don't know if I want to endorse them when they're this kind of a home favorite. I don't trust Anaheim enough, though, either. We'll see if Dostal's in net. By the way, there's a chance Jackson Stauber gets the nod here tonight for the Utah Hockey Club. It's being reported that he might get the start. Of course, Ingram still on IR, so it's Stauber and Vejmelka. And we have not seen Stauber since the Philadelphia game, December the 8th, and he gets a 4-2 win there. Of course, he gets the shutout against Vegas in his first start this year with the Utah Hockey Club. So if it's Stauber, don't just look at him and say, well, he's a run-of-the-mill goaltender. And he's not an upper echelon prospect by any stretch, but he's given up 2 goals and 2 starts combined. So you got to give him credit for that. And he's certainly shown that he's capable. So it's one of these deals where let's see what the goaltending is before we move on this game. If we move on it, to be honest, I probably won't, regardless of what the goaltending is. But like I said, if you're going to think fade Utah because they've got Stauber in net, be careful with that. He's looked pretty solid in 2 starts. Alex, what do you think here? Anaheim, Utah.
Yeah. And it's fascinating. The books are showing a lot of respect potentially to Stauber and even Vejmelka, right? With this price. Now, Anaheim, as bad as they are, but to have Utah minus 220, 225, when you possibly talk about a third string goalie going in, the books recognize, Jackson Stauber is not a bump. Okay. This is a guy who, like you said, he went under the radar, as a prospect. And like I said, he was a Hawks organization. I don't think they even realized what they had. It's stock with him, but now he's Utah's guy, and he could be one of these guys that, like I said, even I was looking at maybe a 6.5. I see at FanDuel under at minus 130. I can't lay that necessarily because even though I trusted him, we don't trust in Anaheim. And if Utah does get off to a hot start, this could get out of hand, but it could be one-sided. So this is what I'm staying away from, even if it is Stauber in net. But like I said, certainly wouldn't be looking at an over if it's Stauber in net because he's played well. He seems to have quality form, and he's one of these goalies that I root for him because he's not a guy who's massive. He's not a guy who, had a lot of high acclaim in the junior or college level, but he's a good goalie. He has good form, and he seems to be more pro ready than some of the other guys that they're trying to push through. When I look at some of these AHL top prospects, Stallmer is a guy who should be. His name should be in that mix of the Wallsteads and the Askarovs. I think he's a guy who could stick around in this league for quite some time to back up. So.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. He could be, yeah, exactly. Not someone that's ever going to be a frontline, upper echelon #1 goalie in the NHL, but someone that's certainly got the potential to just hang around, be a reliable, solid, steady backup.
He would be the perfect backup behind a Vasilevsky or Bobrovsky or a Hellebuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to give you 20 to 25 games every year. Do what you can with those, and more than likely he'll give you a chance to win within those 25.
Yeah. And certainly he's had 2 good starts this year. You can't deny that whatsoever. If it's Dostal and Stopper, that might be a nice little goalie duel tonight. And obviously, our thoughts and feelings regarding Dostal. We like him and the potential for him quite a bit. As far as goal props, I mean, Dylan Guenther's got 6 goals, 5 assists, 11 points in the last 7 games. He's a pretty obvious candidate to maybe look in that direction as far as a goal prop is concerned. I think actually I've seen some good things the last few games from Leo Carlsson. There's a chance I think that he might be able to get going a little bit as far as offensively. So maybe look in that direction as well. All right, Ottawa, Edmonton. Interesting, really fascinating matchup here. We got the Oilers -185 home favorites, 6 the total, shaded to the over here in this game. You guys should already know what side I like here in this game. And with some caution, because look, this is a Ottawa Senators team that's had a great road trip and a great run here on the road before Christmas. This is their final game before Christmas. Is there maybe, a little bit of a taking their foot off the gas pedal mentality here on a back-to-back after playing in Vancouver? But it's also back-to-back for Edmonton as they played against San Jose yesterday. I like that Edmonton saved Linus Ullmark for this game. And Ullmark's been absolutely sensational. We've talked about this over and over again. He's been outstanding during this run. He is on a 7-start win streak, and he has given up a grand total of 7 goals in those 7 starts. So he's basically averaging 1 goal against per game. We'll see how he fares here. But at this price, we've been on Ottawa pretty much in every game on this road trip. And I did take them last night, but I kept it a lot smaller of a bet because I didn't know what we were going to get from Merrill-Linen. So I do like Ottawa here. Plus 160 is the price you can get at some books here with Ottawa as high as plus 160. Got to take them at this price with a guy that's on a 7-game, 7-start win streak. And what I like about this spot is this is kind of a tough spot for Ottawa. It is. You've been on the road a long time. Now you're on a back-to-back. Ullmark is playing at such a high level right now. Ottawa could be dragging ass tonight. They could get outshot 38-10, or maybe not that bad, but 38-20. Get outshot badly by Edmonton tonight, and Ullmark's playing at a level right now where he can steal the game. That is how well he's playing right now for the Ottawa Senators. That's why I don't have too much trepidation or hesitation to take Ottawa tonight, even though they're on a back-to-back here on the road. Because Ullmark's playing at a level where even if they don't have their best tonight and they're kind of dragging ass a little bit, certainly Ullmark could steal a game for them. That is how well he's playing right now. So I do like Ottawa at this price. Have to bet them. I said I'd ride them on this road trip until they lose. They haven't lost yet, and the price is good enough. Absolutely it is at plus 160. So Sens plus 160. I actually do lean over. The only thing I'm scared about is Ullmark's play, but you know what these spots are like. You've been on the road a long time, and now you're on a back-to-back. That's usually when the sloppy play sometimes comes into your game a little bit. And I could see maybe that trickling into this game tonight. So at 6, I do lean over for a little bit as well. Alex, what do you think here? Senators, Oilers?
I'm just going to run back what I did yesterday. Ottawa money line. Ottawa combined with the over 4.5.
That was a good call. That was a great bet yesterday.
Yeah, and you can get Ottawa tied with the over 4.5 at plus 200. So if you like Ottawa, you like over, but you're, like you said, afraid of what Ullmark can do. And this is why I like the play yesterday. We talked about it yesterday. You mentioned about the drop off, and not say drop off, but just the difference between how Ullmark's playing and how Forsberg's playing. But there's a possibility Forsberg could go yesterday. That was a great call. Foreseeing that, but I was liking that play kind of more so with the form of Ullmark. Because, like I said, okay, Ottawa's getting goals. He's not giving up any goals. So we can't look at 5.5s. We can't look at 6s or 6.5s. Now we have a 4.5, and we tie it in with how Ottawa's playing. We get a boost on the plus. So why not? So yeah, I'm right there with you. I got Ottawa. I actually got plus 155 on the money line, and then I got that plus 200 at MGM with the 4.5.
And yeah, Parlay Pinto's on fire, and you better believe it. We're betting Parlay Pinto again. Shane Pinto for the Ottawa Senators. About 5 goals in 5 games now for him. He's been on a great run. It's basically what we talk about so often on this show because it's happened with Max Domi. It's happened countless times with other players. You can't buy a goal for 2 months. You get that first goal, and now you can't stop scoring. It's crazy to see how it works. Same thing with Pinto. He couldn't buy a goal for 2 months. Now he can't stop scoring. Same thing with Domi for Toronto. And it's just crazy to see how that works. It's just all of a sudden one goes in and you see the confidence and you're not hesitating as much. You're not gripping the stick as tightly. It's like a weight off your shoulders and you play a more relaxed, free game. And it just makes you better equipped to score and finish those chances.
Absolutely.
All right, we got our final game here of this Sunday card. Next up, Seattle. By the way, we have an opening minute goal from the New York Rangers against Carolina, so they're already up 1-0. The Blue Shirts. How about that? They have not gotten off to good starts in a lot of games recently, but they are on the board early against Carolina. We have Seattle and Colorado. The Avs minus 290, home favorites in this game. The total sitting at 6, shaded to the under. I mean, this is a tough spot for Seattle, a team that's obviously struggling at the moment as well. And you go from playing in Vegas last night, now you got to go to Colorado, altitude on back-to-backs. And this is a brutal turnaround in the sense that last night, when did that game start? 10 Eastern? And now this game tonight starts at 8 p.m. Eastern. You got to fly from Vegas to Colorado, now playing in the high altitude, and it's not even a full 24 hours from last night's game to this game. And so it's brutal. It's tough this for Seattle. This is very, very difficult, this spot for them. And obviously they're not playing great hockey. 4 losses in a row. Offense is dried up. 2 goals or less in the last 4 games against Tampa, Ottawa, Chicago, Vegas. All of them losses. Meanwhile, Colorado, they've won 3 of their last 4, and they're 6-2 in their last 8. So Avalanche starting to put a little run together at this moment. They're still, believe it or not, an 8-8 home team. Here at Ball Arena, for some reason, the Avalanche have not played, their best hockey here in Colorado. We'll see how this one plays out tonight. Colorado's won 3 straight in this season, in this series against the Kraken. We'll see how that carries out. It's actually 3-1 for Colorado since the beginning of last year, head-to-head versus Seattle. And the last time they played here at Ball Arena, which was actually earlier this year, back in November, it was a 6-3 Colorado win. We'll see how Decord fares, because obviously they gave Grubauer the start last night. Decord has been the better of the 2 goalies. He's certainly done a nice job trying to keep his team in the game. It's a real tough game, though, because we've seen Decord give up 3 goals or less in 5 straight starts. I kind of want to take Colorado team total over in this spot, but Decord's given up 3 or less in 5 straight starts. But does the defense just, fall apart? Fatigue factor, back-to-back. And maybe trying to compensate for the struggling offense, that defense are going to be a little more aggressive tonight, jump into the play. And does that maybe put Decord in a bad spot, having to face some higher danger chances? I still think I might sprinkle on this Avs team total at 3.5. It's only minus 125. That's probably what I like more than anything here in this game. We'll see about the total. The 6 shaded to the under. You can get a reasonably priced 5.5 if you can find that, because there are some books that have 5.5 for the total. With the fact that Seattle, in that altitude and coming off the game last night against Vegas, could be some lapses, could be some issues, could be some sloppy play. That's what happens sometimes when you're a little physically and mentally worn down, which is certainly the potential here tonight for Seattle. So the over 5.5, there are some minus 135s out there with the over 5.5. I don't mind taking a shot with that at that number and at that price, as well as the Colorado team total over 3.5, minus 118 with that at Pinnacle. The only concern, again, is that Decord is on a streak of 3 goals allowed or fewer in 5 straight. But that being said, I am concerned about maybe the compromised team playing in front of them tonight because of this travel and this spot and less than 24 hours. You could really have a concern where they're giving up odd man rushes. They're turning over the puck. It's just the fatigue factor really allows them to make defensive gaffes. And if you're going to do that against Colorado, that's often where you're going to have some trouble. What do you think here, Alex? Final game, Seattle, Colorado.
Yeah, like you said, this is a really rough spot for Seattle. There's no way I can back them even at plus 240. But then when you look on the flip side, like I said, Colorado, yeah, they've had a little bit of struggles at home, and you're laying a price on everything. Even if you're looking at combining Avs and over 4.5 at that parlay, you're laying minus 145. So this is one I'm more likely going to be passing on. Like I said, I have it's a bigger than usual Sunday, and I have a decent amount of games in hand already. So this will be one I just skip.
All right, good stuff. Shout out to everyone tuning in. We appreciate it. Hit the like button. And again, we're getting over 200 viewers still on a Sunday. Like I said, it's right before Christmas. It's an NFL Sunday, and the fact we still get really good numbers for the live shows on Sunday afternoons. We do appreciate it. Thank you very much. Just like we appreciate the Patreon members. You know, that's my go-to segue. $10 per month, patreon.com/Ice Guys, goalie charts, totals charts, all the bonus content posted there. Live exclusive Ice Guys betcasts coming up in the new year, January and beyond for Patreon members only. So definitely a great time to sign up. We're on the march to 200 Patreon members. We're really close. So we appreciate you guys. Exactly. Help us get there. We're almost there. And again, daily betting cards, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. $10 per month. Your subscription goes a long way to support the show. Sign up, $10 per month, patreon.com/Ice Guys.
Also, check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. We are a little low on the hoodies, but we do have all the caps and T-shirts and everything else that's in stock. Of course, you won't be able to get it under the tree for Christmas time at this point now, but you will be able to get it in time for the new year. So bring in 2025 in style with some Ice Guys merch. You get that right now at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
Well said by Grant Clarkson. NFL, what the fuck is that? There you go. Believe me, with the quality of the product, I understand why people have that sentiment sometimes when it comes to the NFL. You know, if it was, I honestly think sometimes with how bad some of the game. Now, a great NFL game, it's as good as it gets, but there's a lot of bad games too, and there's a lot of bad play, and there's bad refereeing, and you get that combination, and it can be a tough watch sometimes.
Yeah,
you know, there's no question, and I think with some of these games, with how bad they can be, you know, with the quality of play, the quality of the quarterback play or lack thereof, if not for the fantasy football and betting aspect of the NFL, my goodness.
Yep.
That's what fuels the ratings to me.
Right.
Really more.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. This time of year, I'll be watching the Bears game in a few minutes because I'm here in Chicago. I'm a Bears fan, but most people are probably watching it because they're either laying the points or taking the points in that game. And so, that's just kind of how that goes this time of year.
Yeah, no doubt. That's definitely what it is. That the betting component fuels things. But then again, it also fuels the viewership for this show. So we got to appreciate that for sure. Good stuff. We got bargain bin special of the night and best bets coming up in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Manscaped, Power Play Sportsbook, Raise Your Game, Tailgaters Social, and a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page. Everyone loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
All right, shout out to all our great Ice Guys sponsors, including Boston Hemp Inc. 20% off all orders on the website using the promo code IceGuys at bostonhempinc.com. All right. Bargain bin special of the night for Alex. Well, he'll probably still be posting a bargain bin for Patreon on the days that he'll be off. Monday and Friday are the 2 NHL days where there's games, but he'll be back Saturday. He'll still have a bargain bin, but this will be his last, I guess, show bargain bin special of the night before Christmas. And Alex, I think we already kind of hinted at it earlier, but make it official for us. What's your bargain bin special?
Yeah, yep. We head to the District of Columbia. We got the Washington Capitals taking on the LA Kings, and yeah, we all talked about it. Former King, and he gets hyped up to play any of his old teams. And keep in mind too, right? When he got traded from LA to Washington, what do we kind of look at? It was, well, wow, he's going to a team that was a perennial playoff contender, trying to be on the cusp of being a breakout team in the West, to this old, slow team out east that may not be playing that well, that might be missing out on the playoffs, just kind of waiting for Ovechkin to set his record. Well, things have kind of changed in DC now. That team looks pretty good, and they're one of the best in the East. So give me PLD, Pierre-Luc Dubois, plus 340 anytime goal for the Caps against his old club, the LA Kings. That's my Sunday bargain bin special.
You down with PLD? Yeah, you know me, Pierre-Luc Dubois. There it is, Washington Capitals, plus 375, a bargain bin special of the night for Alex B. Smith for this Sunday. I'm going back to Parlay Pinto. Now, I did bet him last night. It was not the bargain bin special, but I will go to Mr. Pinto tonight at plus 450 at Bet365 for him to find the back. You're going to keep giving me these prices with Shane Pinto right now. We're going to take it. He's been terrific. 5 goals in the last 5 games. Shane Pinto, Ottawa Senators, plus 450 for my bargain bin special of the night for this Sunday. All right, best bets. Alex, what do you like for best bet?
Let's go to the Battle of the Sunshine State and give me the Florida Panthers. You can get it as cheap as minus 117 at circa. Minus 120 is the kind of general consensus around that. I also like to then tie that in with looking at that parlay. Maybe go over with the 4.5s as well. Like I said, that's something I'm going to be doing with a few of the games today. So looking for Florida to get the job done against Tampa in the Battle of the Sunshine State. Give me the Panthers. It's my Sunday best bet.
All right, there you go. Florida Panthers. Minus 120 against Tampa Bay for Alex with his best bet. And while you bet the side on that game, you can bet the total on that game, because my best bet's Florida Tampa Bay over 6, which you can get at minus 115. A very strong over series history, playoffs and regular season of late between the Panthers and the Lightning. And I think we've got a chance to see that here as well today. Lightning and Panthers over 6, minus 118. And a lot of those overs have been Bobrovsky versus Vasilevsky, which is what we expect to see in goal today. So it's just been, and too, with the chippiness, you get more penalties, and obviously that enhances the chances for more goals as well. So let's go with Panthers Lightning over 6, minus 118, actually minus 114, the best price out there with that for my best bet here for this Sunday NHL card. All right, that is a wrap. Alex, this is your final show before the Christmas break, so a chance to give our viewing and listening audience a few Merry Christmas messages and anything you want to say before the holiday break.
Yeah, absolutely. Just wishing everybody a very, very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Hope everyone's safe in their travels, and the weather's kind of crazy all over the place. So hopefully you get to and from where you're going safely. And like I said, enjoy the time with friends and family. Enjoy the rest. I know some people are dreading the break of 3 days with no hockey. Me, I'm kind of looking a little forward to it, getting a little extra sleep. So that's always fun. But yeah, hopefully everybody has a wonderful holiday. And I'll be back, like I said, on the Saturday show, big Saturday for the 28th. And then after that, you guys will be seeing me for New Year's Eve and then beyond. So I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday.
There we go. Very well said. And you too as well, Alex, back home, of course, in Chicago. And Alex will be back Saturday. But we're not done yet for the Ice Guys just yet. We got one more show before Christmas coming up tomorrow. It is a huge NHL card tomorrow on Monday. We've got games in the afternoon, a couple in the afternoon, and then a ton of them at night. It's a huge Monday card, the final day before the Christmas break. I'm just tallying it up. 13 games tomorrow on Monday. So we'll be on at noon Eastern tomorrow on Monday. I'll be here, just me tomorrow, flying solo, because we got 1 hour to get through 13 games, because I got the college football show with my guy Connor Mack after that. So got 1 hour to get through 13 games. It is going to be a breakneck pace. Get your track shoes on. It's going to be a track meet on the Ice Guys show tomorrow. We're going to get through 13 NHL games in an hour with yours truly, starting at noon Eastern on Monday. Looking forward to that. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Tuesday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, noon Eastern. And if you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms: Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Sunday. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will see you tomorrow on Monday, noon Eastern, for our final edition of the Ice Guys before Christmas. We'll see you then.